I don't know. I didn't see one, but he told me he had a knife.
Drop your weapon. Let it go.
Now at 9, intense police body camera video shows what happened when officers confronted a man who allegedly set a Centerville home on fire. The people living there trapped inside.
It sounds like a script out of a Hollywood movie.
Family reacts to seeing the suspects' disturbing behavior as they begin to rebuild their home.
Tracking strong storms here across the state into the overnight hours, still that chance for some rain showers. Then tomorrow, some more areas of flooding. I'll let you know where.
Claims of covering up child sex abuse and clergy not reporting confessions to police. Tonight, a rally in support of bipartisan legislation to end the legal protection many say does harm to children.
So good, Easton. You're amazing.
As he begins an amazing recovery.
Easton on 3. 1, 2, 3, Easton.
He had a 0% chance to live.
His team plays their first Little League World Series game for Easton.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Almost 1 month ago, a Centerville family nearly lost everything when police say a man broke into their home, assaulted 2 people, and then set the home ablaze. Tonight, we're learning more from police and the family about how officers were able to rescue the people inside the home and then arrest the suspect. Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. I'm Kelly Chapman. Fox 13 News reporter Brian Champagne shows us body camera video of those harrowing moments. He joins us live in studio tonight. Brian.
Yeah, a new video from the Centerville Police Department shows us the moments after the victims in an alleged home invasion and arson say Ammon Woodhead had already hit them, set their house on fire, and threatened to kill them if they didn't give him all their money. A warning: the video is violent and may be disturbing to some viewers. It also shows police working under extreme pressure.
326-722 Arkansas Place.
Officer Alex Farnes arrives first.
Is he still in there?
Yes, there's people in there.
Neighbors tell her what they know, that people are in the burning house.
Oh, let's go, let's go.
She goes in to save them in what is already a life or death situation.
He's right there.
She meets up with Clarence Newman, Bethany Schmucker, and Schmucker's elderly father. Then she runs into Ammon Woodhead. Now she's working an evacuation and trying to deal with Woodhead.
Suspects in the house. Get the on the ground.
She works to get the 3 out.
Clarence was sitting over there on the trailer. She gets us out about that far, and then some other responders were here and helped us get out.
Then they go back in after their suspect. It sounds like a script out of a Hollywood movie that is nonsensical to me. With the garage now filling with smoke, officers tase Woodhead, but he's not cooperating or leaving. We had several officers that were risking their lives in this situation in a very complex, uncertain, dangerous environment. Smoke is affecting the officers, but it's also getting to Woodhouse, who crawls some, and officers take him out from there. I'm very proud of all of them. Officer Farnes, Alex Farnes, showed exceptional good decision making. She was very decisive. She took quick action. A terrible day.
What happened should never happen to anybody.
And with today's body cam footage, the couple can take another look.
I don't know if I want to watch it or not. As I was sitting there, I'm going, do I really want to watch this? I don't know.
There was no doubt in my mind that the devil was here that day. But there's also no doubt in my mind there were more angels than there were devils.
Woodhead is now being charged with 2 counts of aggravated attempted homicide, aggravated robbery, arson, and burglary, among others. Live in studio tonight, Brian Champagne, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, take a look at this. It has been a stormy night all over parts of Utah, especially in the southern part of our state. Several viewers sent us this video of hail coming down in the town of Central, which is in Washington County. It's a lot of hail in a short amount of time, Allison. We've had some flooding issues throughout the southern part of the state as well.
That's right. So we had flash flood warnings earlier today for Colorado City and Hilldale, Zion National Park, and even a severe thunderstorm that rolled through the Ogden Valley down into the northern part of the Wasatch Front. Right now here in Salt Lake, 74 degrees, a comfortable temperature on this Friday night, 69 degrees currently in Ogden. and 73 in Provo right now. We still have a little bit of rain up towards Logan, so Sardine, a little slick up through Logan, some lightning all the way up towards Preston and some areas of moderate rainfall. We will continue with the chance for some rain across northern and northeastern Utah into this evening. Across southern Utah right now, we also have a little bit of lightning just east of Zion National Park, but what we're expecting into the overnight hours is to see some clearing into southern and central Utah. Chances for rain across northern and eastern Utah tonight. 60s for many of you when you wake up tomorrow morning, with more chances for flooding Saturday afternoon. I'll let you know where coming up.
Allison, thanks. Zion National Park is handling a search and rescue operation on the Virgin River after a flash flood. Park officials tell Fox 13 News right around 2:15 this afternoon they got a report saying multiple visitors were swept off their feet in the Narrows. Rangers and search and rescue teams found visitors isolated by rising water. They told them to just stay in place. Park shuttles moved other visitors out of the canyon.
We have park rangers standing at the Temple of Sinawava, which is the out point for those who are leaving the Narrows, and they're interviewing everybody who's leaving. And to this point, everyone has confirmed that there's no member of their party missing.
Well, that's some good news. Tense moments there. As of right now, that initial group that was told to stay in place is in contact with the park, and they have been told to wait until the water falls a bit more. The park wants to remind visitors that flash floods during monsoon season are possible, even probable. Tonight, a rally on the steps of the Utah State Capitol is just wrapping up. Dozens gathered there to support bipartisan legislation to make it mandatory for members of the clergy to report cases of sexual abuse. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph is live on Utah's Capitol Hill with what they had to say tonight. Spencer.
Good evening, and yes, that legislation in some form will run in the 2023 general session. It's still very early, so exactly what lawmakers and who will put this bill forward is a little bit up in the air, but right now, as steam picks up for this, more lawmakers are signing on to make this a reality.
This isn't only an issue within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
No excuse for child abuse!
This is an issue within the Catholic Church.
Survivors need to be in government. Survivors need to be in politics.
This is an issue within the Jehovah's Witness Church.
I don't care which religion you belong to.
We've seen lawsuits in Oregon. We just saw what happened in Arizona with the judge saying that they had to.
Dozens gathered together on the steps of the Capitol, all wearing teal, to show support for legislation, making it mandatory for members of the clergy to report cases of child sex abuse.
And as we know with child sex abuse, 80% of kids who are sexually abused know their perpetrator because they're within their circle of trust.
Representative Angela Romero is one of those legislators, part of the bipartisan effort to address this issue.
We are higher than the national average when it comes to sexual assault and child sex abuse, and so this is something that we definitely need to tackle as a state.
Representative Phil Lyman is also running a bill that would make clergy reporting mandatory. Both are working together to draft legislation that would address the issues, with Senator Dan McCay also signing on to be a sponsor in the Senate. A lot of the attention is being spurred on from an Associated Press report out of Arizona, claiming an abuse hotline used by members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was used to cover up abuse.
I wasn't surprised when I read that article, and I'm glad it woke up a lot of people.
At the rally, one of those speaking was Rabbi Avremi Zippel.
I think as a survivor, I speak for a lot of us when I say how grateful we are to live in a state where we have people like Representative Angela Romero fighting for our cause.
He himself identifies as a survivor of sexual abuse, and he had this message to the crowd.
And what we as clergy need to be mindful of is that when we are speaking about a child who might be in harm's way, the future of that child is on fire.
And now they hope that legislative action can make a difference.
Well, I hope if somebody has abused a child that they're held accountable for what they're doing.
Representative Representative Romero ran a similar bill in 2020. She says that at the time that was one of the most contentious bills and she received a lot of backlash on it. Now with more support coming out, they all hope that in 2023 that can change and this bipartisan effort can pass something in the next general session. Live on Capitol Hill, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you, Spencer. Salt Lake City police arrested a man after a stabbing in Pioneer Park this afternoon. Police say someone called 911 about a man who was bleeding profusely in the park. Officers gave the 30-year-old victim first aid before paramedics took him to the hospital in serious condition.
It appears that this was a very isolated incident between people who were already in the park. It seems that there was some sort of argument occurring between them. We're still trying to figure out what exactly that argument was, but ultimately that argument led up to the stabbing.
The suspect has been identified as 21-year-old Mahat Osman. Police say he will be charged with aggravated assault. A hiker is now in the hospital after a fall while descending Lone Peak in Sandy. Salt Lake County Search and Rescue was called to help a solo hiker who had fallen and had a leg injury. And while high winds and terrain made it difficult, the patient was able to be hoisted out and then taken to the hospital. The new superintendent for the Davis School District tells Fox 13 News they have been busy before the next school year, working to make it a place with a high level of support. From considering a resolution for bonds to finance new facilities to creating a new office of equal opportunity. They're also working to make school a safe space for students after a bullying investigation the district had to undergo.
We have a great opportunity to address that in a way we never have before. We've put things in place, aside from a large amount of policy work and a large amount of training. We just by the end of the day, we'll have trained about 8,000 of our employees and we'll continue ongoing training there.
Dr. Linford there says they now have a centralized reporting system teachers, parents, even students can access from anywhere. Those reports will go to their Office of Equal Opportunity. Classes for the Davis School District start on Monday.
Former Vice President Mike Pence weighs in on the raid at his former boss's Mar-a-Lago home. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have the latest on the probe coming up.
We are not just affecting transgender kids or non-binary kids, we're affecting all kids.
Reaction for those in favor of overturning the transgender ban and those who were in favor of keeping it in place. We'll bring you both sides of the debate. And the first team from Utah to ever play their way into the Little League World Series finally gets to focus on a game. Fox 13 News is in St. George for a watch party with Easton Oliverson's family as the little boy continues to recover.
In national news, former Vice President Mike Pence now weighing in on the raid at the home of his former boss as we wait for a Florida judge to make a decision on what can be made public. Fox's Lauren Blanchard gets us up to speed from Washington.
Amid fairgoers and carnival rides, former Vice President Mike Pence weighed in from Iowa on the raid at the Florida home of former President Trump.
This unprecedented action by the Attorney General and the FBI merits unprecedented transparency.
He, along with major news organizations and many Republicans, including Mr. Trump, want the affidavit made public. It would explain why the FBI had no option but to conduct a raid, and it could give an idea of what was in the classified documents they found and if any laws were broken.
The American people have a right to know why it was necessary to execute a search warrant at the home of a former president of the United States.
The Justice Department objects, citing an investigation in its early stages. They say it could also chill witnesses.
We want to make sure we're not putting anybody's life at risk, and we also want to make sure that if we're redacting things, we're not doing it in a way that people can use that as a conspiracy as well.
Thursday, a Florida magistrate judge ruled the government did not meet the burden to show the entire document must remain under seal. The DOJ now has less than 1 week to finish making redactions.
I think they are going to redact the bulk of the affidavit, and the rest of us are going to be limited to studying, trying to read between the lines.
On his social media platform, former President Trump says his rights have been violated and that he would be filing a major motion related to the Fourth Amendment. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So good, Easton.
Keep looking at her.
You're amazing.
Wow, tonight, big progress for Easton Oliverson. Take a look here. He's the 12-year-old Utah boy who was very seriously hurt after falling off his bunk bed at the Little League World Series. His family posted this video today showing him walking in the hospital, taking more steps than he was able to yesterday. Good progress there. Today, Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi joined a watch party in St. George as family and friends cheered on the team from afar.
Okay, 1 and 2, let's go. Never would have imagined, but it's a wonderful feeling.
Easton's family gathered in their living room to watch his team and little brother Brogan in their first game of the Little League World Series.
There's a handful of kids that I coached in Little League the last couple years that are on the team. My nephews I've watched and supported and helped coach throughout the years. Yeah, we have a lot of ties and connections to these boys, and it's just so weird and fun to see these guys on TV and hopefully gonna win it all.
Easton is a fighter. While recovering, he watched the game from his hospital room, cheering for his teammates. His grandfather, Kevin Oliverson, says they're boys they've watched grow up.
Neighbor kids and friends we live very, very close to Jason Nancy, and we've interacted with these kids, and it's just really fun, really fun.
Easton's grandfather adds that through this tough week for their family, the community coming together for them has been so heartwarming.
The support that's out there for Easton and Jace and for all of us, and it's really, really something.
The team has another chance on Sunday to stay in the World Series, but the family says that no matter what, they're excited to have these boys home and are ready to cheer them on. In St. George, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Cheering on the team, but more so, I am cheering on Easton tonight. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Allison, once again, it's Groundhog Day here in Utah.
Oh my goodness.
Rain, monsoon storms in the southern part of the state causing problems.
I'll tell you what, the biggest change, though, I'm sure all of you noticed here across northern Utah, it's not as hot as it was earlier in the week. We are going to have an area of low pressure, an upper level low that's going to make its way eastward into Utah, and it's going to park right over the Wasatch Front into Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. And that is going to drive quite a few thunderstorms here across the state as we head into your Saturday afternoon, especially for northern Utah. For southern Utah tonight, we still have a little bit of rain towards the Book Cliffs, the Uinta Basin, up into the Uintas. A lot of lightning still and up towards Logan. That's where we're seeing a few thunderstorms still moving through near the Idaho border, mainly south of Garden City and west of Bear Lake. So across northern Utah tonight, we will continue with a chance for some thunderstorms into the overnight hours. Mainly, though, areas of rain. We're going to see some light to moderate rainfall, and then we're going to end up with temperatures still cool tomorrow. But let's talk about the overnight hours first, because midnight tonight, we still have thunderstorms in the forecast from Evanston all the way up towards Bear Lake and all the way over towards I-84 and I-15. So we're going to have the chance for a few thunderstorms tonight, but mainly after that, we'll see some areas of rain showers, light to moderate rain into tomorrow morning. And then we're going to see the strength of these storms ramping up again as we head into Saturday afternoon for the Wasatch Front, Wasatch Mountains, and Wasatch Back. So we could see again some areas of localized flooding for your Saturday afternoon. Overnight temps here across the state, mainly 60 to 70 when you wake up tomorrow morning. And then we see those temperatures only making it to about 75 to 85 for the Wasatch Front tomorrow. And again, stay weather aware as we're going to continue tracking that chance for storms. Into southern Utah, isolated tomorrow for St. George, widely scattered for Sunday, and then a break on Monday. For Ogden, your chance for storms the next couple of days goes up to scattered tomorrow. By Sunday, widely scattered, and Monday, isolated storms. And for Provo, your chance for storms will be widespread tomorrow. That has continued to tick up, so we're getting a little bit more confidence in the amount of precipitation that we'll see tomorrow. We could see some localized flooding, especially from I-15 further east. We head into Sunday, widely scattered. Monday, also widely scattered. So areas of ponding a possibility if you're going to be hitting the roads tomorrow afternoon here along the Wasatch Front. St. George, you're near 95 to 100 degrees for your entire 7-day forecast. Overnight temps mainly in the 70s. And for the Wasatch Front, we have 80s through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Mid-90s return by next Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's talk more about our chance for storms here in Salt Lake City coming up in your Super 7-day forecast.
Sounds good. See you then, Allison. Thanks. Straight ahead, we are going to share the findings of 2 new revealing studies. One about long COVID, the other about the rise in school shootings in America. Plus, after 7 weeks of delays, a World War II plane finally hits the skies once again. What it finally needed to get back into the air today. Welcome back, everyone. New research shows long COVID remains elevated 2 years after recovering from the initial infection. Researchers analyzed 2 years of hospital data for over 1 million patients from an electronic health records network. They found the risk of adults developing seizure disorders, brain fog, dementia, and other mental health conditions remain high. It is important to note the actual risk of any of these conditions following COVID-19, however, remains low. A new report from Everytown for Gun Safety reveals school shootings rose dramatically in the 2021-2022 school year, just last year. Everytown for Gun Safety is a nonpartisan group that advocates against gun violence. They've counted cases of gunfire at schools since 2013, and the 21-22 school year saw more than double of any other years counted. They found most shootings are carried out by a student or former student. Now, nationally, that means 193 separate incidents of gunfire at preschools and K-12 schools, with 59 people killed and 138 people wounded in just the last school year. The average of all the previous years was 49, with the previous record 75 incidents in the 2018-19 school year. From 2014 to this year, Utah has had 16 incidents of gunfire on a school campus, including college campuses. One of those shootings ended with a death. In that case, it was police who shot and killed an armed man at Viewmont High School in December of 2016.
A judge says transgender athletes cannot be banned from girls' sports, at least for now. We'll tell you about what happens between now and a final decision.
Sending dust right towards the Wasatch Front, and that dust storm doesn't need to be here.
Senator Romney and members of the Utah State Legislature visit the Great Salt Lake, and we tag along.
And in sports, high school football plus Team Utah begins their quest at the Little League World Series.
A judge has blocked Utah's transgender sports ban from being enforced. This after 3 transgender girls sued the state. And today, the judge found the ban does discriminate against them because they are transgender. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth breaks down what exactly that ruling means and the path for transgender athletes to compete as the law now stands.
State District Court Judge Keith Kelly's decision is preliminary. He wrote that his decision will not mean transgender girls will automatically be eligible to compete on their school's girls' teams. That's because a backup option in the law will take effect. A specialized commission created that must include a mental health professional and a health data statistician, both appointed by the Senate, a doctor with expertise in gender identity and health care, and a sports physiologist appointed by the House, an athletic trainer and a representative of athletic associations appointed by the governor, and then 2 rotating positions, including a member of the athletic association where the student would compete, and a coach or official in their sport from another part of the state. A transgender girl who decides to try out for a sport would go through a confidential process to be completed within 30 days. Lawyers for the 3 transgender girls who sued told Fox 13 they are hugely relieved by this decision. They say they're grateful to the judge because these girls just want the same chance as other kids to make friends and fit in. They don't want to be in the spotlight. They just want to be kids. The law's sponsor, Morgan County Representative Kira Birkeland, said in a statement, "From the beginning, my intention has been to protect and preserve girls' sports. Although the judge did not rule in our favor, female athletes can still be assured they can compete fairly, as we will soon have a commission in place."
The preliminary injunction will likely be tested in a full trial in 2023, unless the legislature formally decides to accept the commission system. We don't know how long it will take to assemble that commission. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A reaction is already pouring in from both sides about this move from the courts. Take a listen.
We are offering up for all of our young people of Utah to really have an opportunity for a healthy development path.
This isn't a transgender issue. It is an issue of fairness for girls, biological girls, and saving the sports that they love so much.
Gail Rosica there from Utah's Eagle Forum says right now we've only had one transgender athlete participate in female sports, but just one could change everything in a season, affecting an athlete's future. Some LGBTQ advocates fear even the debate alone causes negative impacts on those in the transgender community and beyond. Fox 13 News will continue to stay on top of this story. Stick with us on air, online, and on the Fox 13 News app for the very latest updates. Well, here's an update for you on a Fox 13 News investigation into the new state prison. Fox 13 News has received dozens of complaints from families who say their loved ones in the prison are suffering. Within the past hour, the Utah Department of Corrections announced they are going to be sharing an update on Sunday from 1 to 1:30 in a Zoom call. They will address technical challenges with moving to the new medical record management system and also taking questions from the public. In other local news tonight, Tooele City Police, they're investigating a homicide. Officers responded to a home last night on a call about a 35-year-old woman who was unresponsive and not breathing. She was dead by the time officers arrived. According to police, while they were on scene, a man called 911 saying he had shot his wife and then gave his own location. Officers took that man into custody. Police have not yet released the victim's name. Salt Lake City Police now believe the driver of a Toyota Camry was impaired last night when they ran a red light and crashed into a UTA bus, sending it into 2 other cars. Originally, police thought the driver may have had a medical episode. That driver remains in critical condition and has not been arrested or cited at this time. Well, tonight, a vintage World War II plane grounded for 7 weeks at Willard Bay State Park is finally flying again. The Princess of the Stars was originally here for the Warriors over the Wasatch Air Show back in June, but a technical difficulty forced the Princess to make an emergency landing. After taking weeks to get the necessary parts to repair the plane, it took flight this morning. Those involved in the project told us why they're so passionate about the Princess.
I mean, it's a living museum. You can go to a museum and see these things on the ground, and that's great, but you don't get to hear them, you don't get to smell them, you don't get to be on board them and be a part of them, and it's really different to have these things in the air and flying where people can actually experience them.
The first flight was a short one. It was a stop in Brigham City to get some much needed fuel before flying on to Oregon. It is now legal for Utah drivers to use a mobile license. We're going to tell you how to get yours registered. And Park City High School is scrambling to find more funds so its child care center doesn't have to close. We've got the closing date that came as a big surprise. Thanks for being with us tonight. Utahns now have the chance to get a legal mobile license. Today, the Utah Driver License Division held a joint event with America First Credit Union so drivers could register for the new valid form of identification in the state.
Mobile driver's license, just like it kind of sounds, it's your digitized version of your Utah driver's license. You'll be able to use it at anywhere where there's a verifier. So America First is a verifier of that ID.
Gosh, it seems like everything's going digital or mobile right now. Utah just happens to be the first state to pilot a mobile driver license fully compliant with the international standard, ensuring global acceptance. Now, the event was held today, but another will be available September 8th at the Ogden branch of America First Credit Union. The Park City School District may be losing help with childcare soon. According to the Park Record, which is part of the Utah News Collaborative, the independent Park City High School Child Care Center is expected to close next month. That is, unless the facility can secure more funding. An email was sent to families explaining that due to inflation and increasing wages, the center would be closing sooner rather than later.
There are a lot of great community minds and partnerships going on right now to try to address this issue. Everyone from our Park City Community Foundation, from the city, the county, and other groups and the school district are meeting to find solutions and to make sure that this daycare stays operational for this season. We know that there are a lot of teachers that are dependent on it.
It was originally set to close at the end of the 2022-23 school year, but as of right now, it will be closing on September 19th. Still ahead, Fox 13 News joined Senator Mitt Romney as he toured the Great Salt Lake today, how he's working to save it from drying up.
And later in sports, we're off to Williamsport to follow Team Utah as they cut the ribbon on state history at the Little League World Series. Plus week 2 for the Preps. High school football highlights on the way. Back in a bit.
Inaction is what hurts. Inaction will mean the death of a lot of birds, and it will mean also ill health for people on the Wasatch Front, probably slow down or stop economic development. I mean, it's just not acceptable for us to allow a resource like this to become entirely corrupted.
Senator Mitt Romney there and House Speaker Brad Wilson are getting an up-close look at the environmental crisis right now facing the Great Salt Lake. Both political leaders are working on measures to save the lake. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow was with them as they saw firsthand what's happening.
Senator Mitt Romney and House Speaker Brad Wilson went out on the Great Salt Lake through wetlands and past nesting birds.
You fly by this area, commercial aircraft, and you look down, you see the water, but you don't recognize how many birds come through here. 10 million birds a year come through here, feed off of the brine shrimp that are here and other aquatic life. And as this lake disappears, those birds have no future.
To see up close how bad conditions are.
Well, we definitely are crossing new thresholds in terms of lowest levels of the lake since Brigham Young came into the valley.
The shrinking Great Salt Lake presents a crisis for the state with reduced snowpack, toxic dust storms, and impacts to the economy and wildlife.
The Great Salt Lake is at its lowest elevation yet and will continue to drop probably until mid-October.
I'm standing in the Great Salt Lake. Where it used to be feet deep, it's now inches. Over my shoulder here, you can see the dust. That's toxic dust that everybody's been talking about. It's headed towards Salt Lake City.
Sending dust right towards the Wasatch Front. And that dust storm doesn't need to be here. If we had more water in the lake, you wouldn't see that happening. And it just underscores, I think, for me and Senator Romney and others, the fact that we've got to act.
Senator Romney is running a bill spending $10 million to study the problems and come up with potential solutions.
What you're going to see is a hierarchy of the kinds of things we can do. And they're going to be things that are the least expensive to those that are very, very expensive. I hope the least expensive things, which is conservation of various kinds, bringing new technology into agriculture, that those kinds of things will allow us to be able to solve the problem here at the lake.
Political leaders acknowledge more will need to be done, but it may cost billions.
You know, we got to find answers and then take the action regardless of the cost.
The speaker says Utah lawmakers are planning to do more.
$500 million we invested in water and the Great Salt Lake last legislative session is just a good start. There's a lot more work that's going to need to be done year after year to make sure that we can protect this resource, but also protect Utahns from the damage that can come if we don't do something about it.
The state's Great Salt Lake coordinator says the good news is people are conserving and offering to help. The Utah State Legislature created a special trust, giving money to environmental groups to work to get water into the lake.
We're hopeful that that trust, in addition to all the support that we're seeing here today, will benefit the Great Salt Lake.
On the Great Salt Lake, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Fox 13 News is part of the Great Salt Lake Collaborative. It's a group of local news outlets, academic groups, and community organizations calling attention to the Great Salt Lake and trying to find solutions to save it. You can find out more by visiting the link on your screen.
Well, speaking of water, a few areas here in Utah today saw too much water too quickly. The rest of us had a dry day. So right now, a few showers up towards Bear Lake near the Idaho border and up into the Uintas. Into southern Utah on this Friday night, we're seeing that convection dying down. So we're drying out across southern Utah, and we'll continue with a chance for a few areas of showers and maybe some stray thunderstorms into the overnight hours for northern and eastern Utah. So road trip weather this weekend. We do have flooding concerns again tomorrow afternoon, so please stay weather aware. We could see some flooded roads, we could see some urban flooding, we could see some flash flooding, and then we're going to see a drying trend Sunday into next week. So travel with caution this weekend. Tonight at 10 p.m., close to 65 to 75 degrees. Chance for that rain still into the morning hours across northern and northeastern Utah. Around 60 to 70 when you wake up on Saturday morning, and into Saturday afternoon, we'll have those temperatures nice and comfortable for Salt Lake. 85 degrees, 80 for Ogden, and for Provo, 78 for a high tomorrow. A couple of things that I want to point out. We're going to see that chance for showers and thunderstorms mainly around lunchtime into the afternoon hours for the Wasatch Front. I-15 further east could see some areas of flooding. Recent burn scars a concern, and also some localized flooding, definitely a possibility as those thunderstorms form tomorrow afternoon. For tomorrow in Cedar City, 80, 81 for Ridgefield, St. George 96, and for eastern Utah, Moab 88, Price 77, and for the Uinta Basin tomorrow, 81 degrees. Flash flood potential tomorrow probable for all of our recreation areas. That does mean some slot canyons, dry washes, and small streams are expected to experience flash flooding. St. George 96 tomorrow, 94 on Sunday, close to 100 degrees by Tuesday. Here along the Wasatch Front, air quality will be moderate through the weekend, 87 Sunday here in Salt Lake City. So we're tracking that air. That's going to be better than it was this week, but still not perfect. 91 on Monday, 94 by Tuesday, and by next Wednesday, 95 degrees here in Salt Lake. So our chance for storms tomorrow will be scattered for Salt Lake City, widely scattered on Sunday, and isolated by Monday. We're going to see a little bit of a drying trend late weekend into early next week. Temperatures by next Thursday, 92, Friday, 90 degrees.
With college football still a week away, we're already on to our second week on the high school scene. Go to it. Start with Sky Ridge and east from Lehigh. McKay Hillstead running hog wild for the Falcons tonight, just short of the pylon in the first. Colin Sheffield finishing off that touchdown for Ridge. The Falcons adding 28 more points in the second quarter. Hillstead taking the scenic route this time for a 16-yard giddy-up. 42-0 was the shutout over the Falcons. A couple 6A schools leaving the state to face nationally ranked programs tonight, including Corner Canyon. The Chargers, though, trail 6th-ranked Bishop Gorman out in Vegas, 28-7 at the half. West, meanwhile, out in California at 2nd-ranked Mater Dei. The Panthers trailing 14-0 in the first half when Mater Dei had 7 more. The Monarchs have won 3 of the last 5 high school national championships, 28-0 the score right now in the third. Timpview out to prove that last week's Lone Peak upset was no fluke. Playing catch in the crowd, not to mention catch on the field. The T-Birds adding to a 28-7 halftime lead over Harriman. Kazon Villa locating Jackson Allred, and minutes later, Timpview's backup QB strikes again. Ty Nakua the target this time. 2-0 Timpview rolls 43-14. And a Davis County bout with Farmington entertaining Bountiful. Here come the Redhawks. Brigham Morrison flying in to sack Easton White, but the Phoenix would use an INT to get the ball right back, and this time they burned Bountiful deep. White 64 yards to Adam Stuckey. It was the only touchdown of the first half for either team. Teal used a blocked punt to add a few more points in their column. Dallin Larson with that 6'4" frame to knock it down here, leading to a Drew Romney field goal, 24-3. Phoenix. The former Aggie Jordan Love had another shot to make an impression for the Packers. Big gainer for Juwann Winfrey sets up Love for Romeo Dobbs, 12 of 14, and that touchdown for Love. But more importantly, no picks. Meanwhile, Taysom Hill caught a 10-yard pass from that tight end spot. Green Bay takes the exhibition 20-10. What a wild week it's been for the kids from Santa Clara. Upon making Utah history with a fairy tale trip to Williamsport, tragedy struck days before play even began. The Little Leaguers hoping a terrible incident involving one of their own might fuel them through the August tournament, which got underway for the Mountain Region winner today. Easton Oliverson, or Tank as they call him, watching his team face Nolensville, Tennessee from a hospital bed close by. Utah got roughed up early, though. Tennessee with a 4-run first. Nash Carter pulling down the line with the bases full, scoring 2. Getting one back, though, bottom half. Colton Gainey driving in their first run as it rolls to the track in left. In comes Reggie Entz. And Santa Clara had a great shot to shoot back in it in the bottom of the 4th. Gambling on the double steal here with 2 outs, only to get their hand caught in the pickle jar. Tennessee plays it masterfully to get Chaz Hickman trying to sneak over to second. They strand 2, and then wild pitches killing them as Tennessee scores 2 more on this play. 11-2 the final. The good news is Utah is not done. It's a double elimination tournament, so they'll go again on Sunday. And ahead of tomorrow's fights, the ceremonial weigh-ins took place earlier at Vivint Arena. Joe Rogan acting as MC, a chance for the fighters to show their weight and stare each other down. There are 13 fights on the docket to make up UFC 278. Of course, the main event has a belt on the line. Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards in that welterweight fight.
It's going to be interesting tomorrow night.
Should be fun to watch.
Back to Team Utah, the Little Leaguers. Win or lose on the field, those boys have learned a lesson that will carry them, throughout life.
And it's so good to see him walking again, as we saw today.
Yes, and we'll continue to keep everyone updated on the team and Easton. We'll be right back. Well, that's going to do it for us. So long. Farewell.
Quick casting.
Have a great Friday.